So the first thing that I wanted to ask you guys is, are you against animal abuse in general?
Yes, I am against animal abuse as an animal lover and owner myself. It hurts like seeing any form of animal abuse. So, like I don't know, they're just like sweet and pure and all they can really do is love and I don't see how someone could hurt like a loving creature as pure as them.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely love that answer. That's like one of the most detailed answers that I've gotten. That's exactly how I feel about it too. They're like kids. It's kind of our responsibility because they can't take care of themselves all the time. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, I think like the present, as in like right now, we just aren't doing enough to like prevent it. Uh, like especially with like factories and whatnot. It's like just kind of just not ethical.
yeah, for sure.
I don't think people understand how like intelligent animals can be, and like they like see them as like an object, but no, they're like they have emotional connections. They have different personalities. Like yeah, that's beautiful, and I don't think that people understand that.
Yeah, I absolutely love those answers. And I feel like when it comes to factories and the people working at factories, they have to start seeing them as objects because at the rate that they're being killed in the factories. And so if they did see them as sentient beings as they are in my. So yeah, like the people who work in slaughterhouses, they usually don't have another option. A lot of them are like immigrants and stuff, who that's like their one of their only options for work. And so a lot of them end up with PTSD from having to do it. They're not able to disassociate from what they're doing, even though they have to a degree in order to do what they're doing. Because doing something like for survival or because we think we have to, it also can mess with us, but that's more justifiable, right? So it sounds like some of you have seen slaughterhouse footage. So can you describe to me what you've seen and what you remember from that?
So specifically, I saw a slaughterhouse that contained pigs, and it seemed very unethical. It seemed a very gruesome way to handle their job. Like they had chained like the back legs of the pig and were hanging them from the like ceiling and dragging them along, and like it was,
Alive, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they would kill them as they were like hanging from there, and it like it takes a toll on someone seeing something like that. Like I don't I don't understand how people are capable of it, honestly, because it's very gruesome if you see footage of a slaughterhouse.
For sure. And for pigs, they're one of the ones that usually gets gassed. So that's one way that they kill them is slitting the throat. But another way, most of them are gassed in gas chambers, like the same CO2 that's used in like the World War II. So, and what happens is they literally burn from the inside out and they rip off their feet because they're in so much pain thrashing around, getting their feet like in the bars. So that's happening 24/7. Like right now, it's happening to like hundreds of millions of pigs. So that's why I'm here speaking up for them because most of us would never think about these things because it's hidden from us on purpose. So, how about you? What have you seen?
There was one video I saw, like it was cows. Uh, they were killed in a gas chamber. It was like that. Ooh, it was just hard to watch because it was like you said, they were like ripping themselves apart and like it was
If there was a
nasty.
hell, that's what they would look like,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
torture.
yeah.
Very unnatural.
Can I say the name of the company?
Yeah, of course.
So I saw a Trumo, the milk people, the cows. They were all lined up like they were milking them, and it's like they saw the cow as like a machine, and they were all lined up. It looked like it was a factory, obviously, but it just looked like they didn't see the cow; they just saw a machine, and I don't
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
Yeah. What happens when those things go out of commission? It's
Yeah. So, When you guys saw that footage, what allowed you to continue to justify that in your head and still pay for it and be able to like sleep peacefully at night? Like, I'm no judgment whatsoever. This is out of pure curiosity because I want to be able to connect with you and help you connect with the victims like I did to help create a more peaceful world for them and for us, because it affects a lot more like environmental things and stuff like that. But it's animal rights and veganism is for the animals, because like things like fur and animal testing, that could be justified even though there's an environmental issue. So like what justifications went through your head? Because even I had justifications when I first started seeing those things that I had to look into and like learn more about and realize that they're not actually justifications. But I just wanted to hear like if there's anything keeping you from going vegan and aligning your morals of not wanting to abuse animals or not liking to see or be an animal abuser, like seeing that as a bad thing, but paying people to abuse animals.
Honestly, it's probably the fact that like I don't even necessarily think about it. I'm not the person out there in the slaughterhouse doing the manufacturing and everything like that. And honestly, growing up like with a home that has cooked with like meats and stuff, it's like it makes it feel normal as I'm older.
Normal, natural,
Yep.
necessary.
I feel like it is wrong like hurting these animals, but like it's hard moving out of your like normal everyday life to like move on to something different that's like an issue that hasn't really been like advocated for as much as it has been now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't advocate veganism and animal like rights and everything protection like as much as now. So
You're definitely right. It started to pick up on social media, and a part of that is normalization in our heads, so it makes it harder to justify when we're constantly seeing the reality that we've always never thought of our whole lives. And there's reasons that we haven't thought of it, like the Got Milk campaign in school. Do you guys remember that?
yep.
Yeah, so like the dairy industry paid our schools to teach us about health. It doesn't make sense for us to need something from the mammary glands of a different species. That absolutely makes no sense. So what they taught us that we need it to be strong is a complete lie. It makes absolutely no sense. It was literally for money, and of course the public schools is going to take that money. So that's a part of what makes it natural. It seemed natural and necessary to us. So if something seems like it's something that we have to do and it's ingrained in us that young, and it's that hard to subconsciously to come to terms with, then it's going to be hard to resurface that for change later, especially when we do have the habit of doing that, because breaking habits as human beings is like one of the hardest things to do anyway. But after you see it from the victim's perspective and you know how much power you have as a consumer, it becomes so easy and exciting, to be honest. And it's so much easier today than it ever has been because more people are aware of it than ever before. Have any different justifications that went through your head when you saw it, or maybe afterwards?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a hard thing to grasp, I guess. Mainly because humans, we've always been like sort of hunters, but not in like a supply this large. Like we haven't always like mass killed and like just genocide. Like, I think mainly it's just like meat is okay. It's not like, as long as it's like ethical, you know, like as long as it's not like as long as it's not like taken from slaughterhouses. Like humans, we basically, our roots trace back to people who would hunt and gather, and I mean, hunting was a huge source of our nutrition, and I would totally switch to like something like the Beyond hamburgers or something like that. Like, problem with that is it's like the technology to create that kind of product isn't like as advanced as it could be, and it's just not enough protein to really be sustainable yet. But I think in the near future it could be.
Okay. Well, I like the way that you're the route that you're going on there. There are a few misconceptions that I do want to bring up. So, actually, according to the largest dietetic associations in both Britain and America, and these are non-vegan associations, the consensus that a whole food plant-based diet is actually the healthiest. And a protein deficiency doesn't really exist in the United States unless you don't get enough calories. So that's a huge misconception that because people think about meat and protein together, but really all plants have protein. So, because like the amino acids, like they need it too, and that's where the animals get it from. And actually, we would use like 75% less land if we just ate the plants ourselves, because we're filtering those amino acids and nutrients from the plants through the animals and appeal to nature and our evolution. So as things always evolve, right, in the past we had to eat meat, mostly during the winter months actually, because there wasn't enough to gather. What caused our brains to grow is the cooking of like sweet potatoes and things with a lot of starches in them. So fire did cause us to evolve mostly. A lot of people think it's from cooking meat that happened, but that's impossible, because the brain's main source of growth, its main fuel is glucose, which meat has none of. It actually has cholesterol, which humans don't need any cholesterol after they're finished weaning off of breast milk. It's actually really bad for us, and that's like the leading cause of cardiac arrest, which is the leading cause of death other than the road. So yeah, health isn't an issue. Evolution, we actually only ate a little bit of meat during the winters when like we first started evolving into humanoids from monkeys, and that is because I have a lot of knowledge I'd like to share, but and that's because we were actually really bad at hunting with the basic stone tools that we had. So when our bodies evolved into what you see now, we're not in such hard times anymore. And so now we have a choice, and it is the healthier choice. And with the plant-based stuff, the burgers and stuff, it is actually getting a lot better rapidly, because more people are demanding it for supply. So that way there's more entrepreneurs working on solutions to problems like that. And that's why, like, the old school vegans and animal rights activists that nobody knew of because there wasn't technology to show everybody, the masses, about, they would eat whole food plant-based because that was like the only way to eat vegan. So like now we have all these options that are just coming out, and we only had like 3 brands, and now we have like more than we can count. So it's going to get so unreal you won't even be able to tell the difference, and it will be healthier. Not the healthiest, because whole food's the healthiest, but healthier than meat for sure. So those are some of the misconceptions I wanted to, yeah. It's easy to have those misconceptions before you do the research, because those are natural conclusions that I went to as well before doing research, because it was important to me after seeing it. So, yeah. How about you? Any justifications you remember having after seeing the cow footage?
I think that I agree with what Kayla said. We grow up on it, and it's kind of just part of our culture, and here in America and in Europe and a lot of places. But I don't think people realize that other cultures have like just historically just been vegan, have not eaten meat. That's just part of their, like,
I love that you know that.
like my grandpa, he is Indian, and he doesn't eat meat at all, and that's his religion. And I just think that people don't understand that you can just live. Those cultures have been living for like years. Yeah. And also, but I do think that it's a choice for you to eat meat. Like, I can't say that you don't eat meat. I can't say that, because it's a choice, and it's not going to stop anybody from eating it, because that's our culture here. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's it.
So in the past, our culture has been like things like slavery and sexism, where like we were seen as property, like we didn't have the right to vote, we were owned by men. That's what marriage kind of was, a contract to our bodies. Same thing with slavery, and that was a part of our culture that we like more recently abolished compared to like the large scale of civilization. So I don't think that culture isn't exactly a justification, and it is a choice, just like any cultural norms that we create is a mass choice. And, you know, those things were probably justified by thinking that they needed it and thinking that it was okay because, well, they are lesser than and they don't deserve the same rights that we do because it's just always been that way or it just is that way. You know, those are the same justifications that have been used throughout history in order to oppress a certain group, and it's called speciesism when we oppress groups of other species. So I don't think that any of that really justifies like putting tens of billions, it's 10 times more of them than there is us at all times. If that was the only life that you had and you were the victim, looking outside to a perpetrator that like was in a slaughterhouse right now and you could either be a vegan and go and save them and take them to a sanctuary and eat something that tastes them is exactly the same just to save their life rather than like just go with the status quo. You could be a part of history and changing culture for the better for them. So like as a victim, how would you feel about that? You know?
I mean, that's a pretty heavy like thing.
It's a heavy topic.
I mean, to save like you're saying to save like all the animals.
I mean, just the ones that you eat. So like about 200 a year.
If I can save 200 animals just by going vegan, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So what's
Yeah.
stopping you from trying today and from now on?
I like fish.
Feel it. I used to eat sushi multiple times a week. They have this sushi now. They have a California roll and a tuna roll. I saw it at Mom's, but I think you could order it from Food Lion. It tastes exactly the same. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, I wasn't expecting it to taste the same, but it literally does. And the more people who buy those products, the more options there will be. So, and we're gonna have fishless oceans, like, by like 2050, and you'll have to switch to that anyway eventually. But that doesn't go for the same for like, I mean, I guess they could always do like farms and stuff, but it's just horrible. Not only for our health, but for the animals.
Yeah,
So
fish farms doesn't sound natural.
yeah.
It doesn't sound like it should
They're
be.
very unethical, honestly, in my opinion, because they like crowd the fish like
Yep.
to
Oh, yeah.
an extreme, and fish need
I
space
love that
to
people know
live.
this stuff.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's right.
Huh?
That's right. We went to Petco, and there was
It was like
so many fish that were dying. One of the clownfish, he was completely gray.
yeah,
They were eating him. His
the,
friends.
the other fish were eating them. It was,
Yeah.
it was nasty.
A lot of
I
pet
went there
stores do
just
not
the other
take care of
day.
their
I didn't tell you this.
Yes.
I went there just the other day, and it was like looking at like those carts full of people they had in like the plague. It was like that in like the tank of neon tetras. And I was like, I should like
Save
tell
them.
somebody about this.
I should tell a trusted adult about this.
That's great. But yeah, so they're seen as commodities. They're a product. Actually, they've thrown them away alive in dumpsters. They do it all the time because it's just another product on the shelf to them. That's how they have to treat it to make money. That's why vegans don't believe in animals as commodities because there are other options. And we also believe in like companion animals rather than pets because pets insinuate that they're here for us, like to pet, like they're here specifically for us and we can breed them into existence no matter what that takes. And companion animals is like they're our friends. We take care of them, they take care of us, like emotionally, physically, all those things. Even though that's true with pets most of the time, it's like just the respect and the level of awareness that we're trying to bring to it. And also adopt, don't shop, and support sanctuaries instead of zoos. So like that's all of that is yeah.
He's adopted. He was picked up off the streets of Kansas when he was just a little baby, like a couple weeks old. And I got him when he was 11 weeks old, and I've had him since. So.
Yeah. So with the sushi thing, another thing I wanted to say was like with sexual abuse, like I've been sexually abused before, and like it really, really hurts when somebody is willing to take that second of pleasure that ends for something that affects you for your entire life. And so that's kind of the same thing that we do for the animals. So like, do you think that your like 5 minutes of taste pleasure, when you could eat something else that also is good, but maybe it's not as good for you personally yet because you haven't like developed different tastes, like do you think that's worth it? Like when you go down to eat the fish, like when they have to drag them out of the ocean and flop and suffocate and all the things that have to happen in order.
This sure is something.
You're my friend. Don't worry. Don't worry. Friends are they tell the truth, you know. Friends don't lie.
So, I don't know. I mean, I like the taste.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I would give up fish, but I would definitely give up chicken because I do not like how chicken wings look. They're kind of gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
would also give up beef because that's kind of
Yeah.
gross too.
I think that if it tastes the same, like I personally haven't tried anything like a vegan burger or anything like that to even like
options now. It's
Yeah.
so good.
I haven't even tried, like, I haven't been open enough myself to try that stuff. So if I, like, did try it, I feel like if it tasted, like, pretty much the same, I wouldn't care and I wouldn't mind, like, switching over to save some animals.
Definitely try your body. Like, I would say to try it for 2 weeks and you won't want to go back because of the way that it feels in your body personally. That's a selfish way to look at it, and I'm not supposed to look at it as an animal rights activist, but that's what happened to me. Like, I couldn't do it because of no matter if it made me feel like worse or if I didn't like it as much, but I ended up liking it more.
So I think feeling better after that is because a lot of our meat is processed. A lot of our meat is just has a lot of added stuff in it, and if we took that out of the equation, I feel like we would start to see a change in like Americans' health.
Yeah, for sure. We just
I mean, GMOs, Red 40, all that.
For sure.
microplastics.
Microplastics.
All of
yeah.
that stuff is definitely true.
Yeah, literally
Yeah.
the air.
Yeah, all of that stuff is definitely true, but also there's plenty of studies to show that when you eliminate meat completely, that it does have health effects, no matter where you get it from. But because of the cholesterol and lack of fiber, which is like what our bodies are meant to eat, we're actually frugivores. Probably never heard of that before, but yeah.
One word, I like that word.
Yeah, they don't teach us the right stuff in school, like about anything, but.
Is it herbivores?
So herbivores actually only eat leaves and sticks, and omnivores have both have mixed attributes between carnivores and an herbivore, or yeah. And so frugivore is a type of plant eater, not a type of herbivore. So a frugivore is one that eats a lot of calories in fruits, fresh vegetables, leaves, shoots, nuts and seeds, like plants, basically all the plants. But I'm not here to talk about diet. I like educating people about things that we weren't taught that we should have been. But but yeah.
I would like to. Okay. I think like educating people on like veganism and all that is good, but also there's a lot of poverty in America and a lot of vegan options are way too expensive, and a lot of people just don't have access to that. Even if they wanted to, they just simply can't. They have to eat the processed meats and all this. So I just think that it's a big part of the equation.
So when comparing the plant-based versions of meat substitutes and things like that, it can be more expensive depending on what you're comparing. But a whole food plant-based diet is actually the cheapest way to eat. Rice and beans is what the most impoverished people do eat. If you've had that much financial difficulties, you'll know where the rice and beans are at your grocery store. Like, that's just a fact. So eating the healthiest is actually the cheapest way to eat, unless you're eating like instant noodles, which there are vegan ones. You can get like ones off of Amazon that are just as cheap as the other ones too, if you know how to look for it. But basically, like, and the more people that choose those options, they can actually become cheaper than meat products because of what they're made out of, right? And because they don't take the 6 months of feeding them plants. We can just use the plants to make them, right? So it would take a lot less land, a lot less water, oh my God, a lot less resources. So once these companies have enough support like the meat industry does, it will become even cheaper, actually. And paying for animal agriculture twice because they're subsidized by our taxes. A lot of our taxes are taken to subsidize animal agriculture because of how economically unstable the industry is, because of how resource intensive it is, and because food is seen as necessary even though we're not eating it in a necessarily responsible way because we don't allocate resources properly. But yeah. So lots of information, but how about you? What would stop you from trying veganism?
I'm not too sure. It's more of like you don't really immediately think of animals as having sentience like a human has sentience.
Why is
I
that?
don't agree with that. I think they
Well,
have
I'm
sentience.
more they do, but you don't like immediately think
Yeah, I
that.
do.
Well,
When thinking
personally.
about food animals in particular?
like I'm more
If
I'm
I
more
s-
thinking about like just how do I put this? Like most humans don't really take that into account that what they're eating was alive at some point.
Right, so when you're eating, you don't think about their sentience.
Yeah.
But when you see the animal in person,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
obvious, right?
yeah.
So we're disconnected from what's on our plate.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to connect with you with. So
Yeah.
I'm-
Sorry, I I do that all the time.
You're good. You're good. All right. So I'm really glad that I got you guys thinking, and I hope you think about it more. I'm gonna end this because it's been a while. So did you guys enjoy this conversation? And do you guys think that you will try it after having this conversation for at least 2 weeks, just to see, and to educate yourself and to see what goes into it, and to make that decision for yourself on what side of history you want to be in, because no injustice lasts forever.
I did enjoy this conversation. It was very educating. I was told many things that I did not know, which I enjoy. I enjoy learning new facts. But I feel like if I'm able to get the idea, like my family on board with the whole idea, and all of us like contribute together, then like I would definitely be willing to try it for 2 weeks and see like how I feel, how I like it, like all of that. But because personally I don't have like the money to support myself like that, but if they weren't on board, I would be willing to try it after I get my situation like good. Like my situation situated.
Yeah, you can definitely talk about that to them and see if they're willing to put in some alternatives to you. Like, hey, this is something I want to try. It's really important to me. Just for 2 weeks, if you can swing it, and if we both become comfortable with it, then this is how I would want to go from here on out. It might be an uncomfortable situation. It's not likely that you're going to talk them into doing it as well, because everybody has their own timing of having an open heart and mind to this issue. Especially, it's hard to talk to somebody that we love about. It's actually harder for you to talk about it to your family than like strangers. So
Yeah, I feel like my mom would be like on board with it though, because she's very open to trying new things, and she likes the idea of being healthier. So like if studies are like, oh, this is like a really healthy option, then bringing it up to her, she'd be like, oh, that's a great idea, let's try it.
heck yeah, go with Dr. Greger then. Like he has a great information. He's like, we have to know the proof. These are the studies, and compared to what's the healthiest. So like he has so much information. He has something called the Daily Dozen. It's like a free app. So yeah, all based in science. But would you be willing to try it for 2 weeks and see how you feel, and educate yourself, and not just take my word for these things, and educate yourself and for the next 2 weeks while trying it, to see how you feel emotionally and physically by the end of it?
You know, yeah, I think I would, because I mean, as you can see, I am quite rotund. Right. Yeah, I think it might be good for myself. It might be good for, you know, a lot of things around me that I just don't even really notice.
Of course, 1000%.
Yeah, I would 100% try it for 2 weeks. My mom used to be vegan when she was a teenager, so she would 100% be down. Honestly, she doesn't. She's low key like a vegan like herself. She does not eat meat unless it's fish or it's like pepperoni on a pizza.
So she's like, oh, okay, not quite pescatarian, but
somewhat,
almost.
somewhat.
It wouldn't be a stretch for her. Cool.
Yeah. And I'm just like always open to try new things. So yeah, if it works for me for 2 weeks, then yeah.
Yeah, check out the aisle in Walmart that like has all of the vegan stuff. There's some vegan fish options and all kinds of stuff. Just always check out the mock meat near it and just try to replace what you usually eat for the meat portion with that, and use plant-based butters, plant-based milks instead. And find what you like and don't like, because the first things you try you're probably not going to like. Just the same with meat products, you know. You have your favorites and the rest are kind of and then some you don't like. Depending on who you are, different brands hit different.
I'm a picky eater to begin with, so it's like, you know, it wouldn't be hard to give up meat.
Yay!
Yeah.
It's a texture thing.
Yeah, meat can be gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you get like a
Oh,
piece of
chicken
fat
wings?
or something.
chicken wings, the tendons, disgusting.
yeah,
When
that-
you
Right.
see the feathers on it, like sticking out.
Yeah,
No.
they have little hairs.
No, thanks.
I can't.
And people like to complain about there being like some bits of like brains or organs accidentally in there, and it's like, do you not expect body parts to be in your box of body parts?
That's why I don't like hot dogs.
Yeah.
Just the like conformity.
I stopped eating
There's
hot
buttholes in there. But thank you guys for your time so much. I'm gonna end it now.